With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate the speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
Well, it might be the season finale tonight, but it starts with some heavy hearts, unfortunately. We have lost a good friend to many in the sim racing community, CM Pennington. I'm Joe Peak here with Dylan Coyle here on RaceSpot, and we have a special presentation as we see the truck drivers in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series do a dedication lap. They've put together some special words they'd like me to read out that help describe what he meant to the community. Anyone who knows CM or had the pleasure of racing with him knows how incredible, selfless, hilarious, fun, and pure he was. CM stood out for everything that makes sim racing so special and the amazing communities that can be found and developed within it. CM consistently stood out as a source of positivity and strength. His incredible life story, which includes becoming homeless due to injury and completely rebuilding his life from scratch, will continue to inspire anyone who is lucky enough to know him. And his legacy will live on forever in PRL and his team. 44 ever. We love you, CM. And now, a moment of silence as we watch the drivers salute. Thank you, and thank you, of course, to the drivers who are now going to do their traditional PRL celebrations here in honor of the smiles that CM has given so many people. Now, of course, we are here to race, and I'm sure that CM would want that more than anything else. So why don't we talk about the race coming up here, as well as this season that we have had. Like I mentioned, we are in the final race. So if we head on over to the season schedule for this season's race, you can see we end up on Atlanta Motor Speedway, which is sort of a mini super speedway here, Dylan. This is certainly going to throw the cat amongst the pigeons in terms of how the championship winds up.
Yeah, this is going to be quite the wild finale here for the PRL trucks. It's been a long road, but we've also had multiple super speedways in this series, and they've all been different. It hasn't been that 2.5 mile Daytona Talladega combo we get used to. While we did go to Talladega, we had iRacing Super Speedway, the 3 miles, monster of a track a few weeks ago. Earlier in November, and of course Atlanta 1.5 mile super speedway to decide not only the playoff champion but the season 4 champion, which kind of has been decided already. But let's take a look at the playoff standings, see who's remaining in this championship race.
Absolutely. The final 4 all competing for the overall year-long championship. The playoff, something that takes place here in season 4, and it's come down to Steve Loving, who is also in contention for the season championship, Dallas Sullivan, Matthew Karakov, and Dalton Geyer. Whoever finishes ahead of these 4 will take it all. So watch out for the 27, the 46, the double aught, and the 365 to see who manages to finish the highest amongst those 4. We'll talk about the championship in a little bit, but as we mentioned, we are here at Atlanta, and I'd almost describe it as though you've thrown Daytona in the wash and shrunk it a little bit. You've taken the tri-oval out, you've put a quad oval in, and you've got like a mini super speedway here with the latest additions done to it. It's going to be hard to get away from one another. It's going to be hard to stay out of trouble here today, Dylan. So if you're someone such as our championship leader with Loving, how do you tackle this one?
I mean, at the end of the day, in the actual championship of season 4 itself, there's not much of a concern, when you're Steve Loving. Yes, Dallas Sullivan is fast and is in second, but you're also 31 points ahead. So when you only have to worry mainly about the championship race, you're still going to go out for the entirety of this one going full steam. So Loving's got a big task at hand to win this overall year-long championship, but I don't see it being as stressful as it could have been if it was a close standings race for season 4.
That's true. So at least maybe he can try and focus on getting himself up ahead on that one. Now, before we get to the qualifying just starting up, we want to mention our sponsors, which of course includes Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. It's also brought to you by Racebox Sim Racing. Racebox offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and get a 5% discount using the Precision 5 coupon code. Of course, there's also the Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. And Moradness. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. And let's not forget about Mr. Hedge Sim Racing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. Finally, there's Advanced Motorsports. Get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. Looks like we're starting to get a few times on the board here, Dylan. And Dallas Sullivan looking quick from the word go right now on the provisional pole.
Yeah, Sullivan definitely looking quick right now, but as we see them all continue to move, something to note here in qualifying is that you can run down to the apron. You cannot do that in the race, so that will benefit some of these drivers looking to get maximum speed.
And see, we've had a bit of cloud cover at times on this one as well, but it's pretty decent temperatures out there currently. About 82 Fahrenheit, 86 Fahrenheit on the track right now. So that's keeping it from being too slippery at the moment. I'm still waiting for a number of drivers to put themselves on the board. Looks like Ed Peltz, Steve Loving, our championship leader, is still yet to set his first time. In fact, I think he's coming across for that right now. Just started his first flying lap as he gets ready to try to position himself. With it being kind of that mini super speedway, I wonder how many drivers Dylan will have who elect to start from the back.
I mean, I feel like with how chaotic this race is just bound to be, right? It's only 40 minutes and each caution, and we will have cautions, will take 5 minutes or so off the total of the race's time. You add those up and quite quickly it becomes almost impossible to get up front from the back in that short of a time span. I feel like more than others, especially for the championship 4 guys, you're trying to qualify up front for this one. There's no question. There's no thought process of I'm going to stay in the back.
Well, Matthew Karakov has elected not to do that. He's actually put it on provisional poll now with his laps. He is in those championship 4, and he is the highest position. Dalton Geyer's right behind him, and then Dallas Sullivan actually currently in 5th. But Steve Loving, second lap around, 32-1, well, make Steve 3rd place. So 3 of the 4 are in the top 3.
Yeah, that's... Are we shocked? The cream rises to the top, does it not?
I mean, typically it does. Even in this series, you'll see that frequently. And right now it's looking like they have put the practice in on this one to try and get ready. They've had 2 weeks now to get to know, because we had a week off for Thanksgiving last time around. So maybe that's given them time to just try and get ready and make sure they've got what it takes here today. Or, Dylan, does it make you more nervous having to wait that much longer to decide the whole thing?
You know, I feel like in a way, yes, it can make it, you know, the whole act of trying to decide it more nerve-wracking. Still, though, you're going to be nervous no matter what. If you're in this championship 4, wherever you start, wherever you're racing, it's going to be nerve-inducing. Maybe at a super speedway, though, it's going to add a little bit more of that. But with the checkered flag waving here on qualifying, looks like Matthew Karakov will be starting from the pole. Got it just almost a couple minutes ago at this point and kept it up there.
Yeah, he did it relatively late compared to many of the others. So looks like our grid is now set. And as you said, Karakov has managed to put this one on pole. 24 drivers out there. The good news for Loving is to take the seasonal championship, all he needs is 22nd or better. So chances are good, especially if we have Rex that he survives early and stays out of the chaoses. There is Karakov on the pole position with Dalton Geyer starting in 2nd and Steve Loving in 3rd. Then it's Stephen Kirby, P4, and Garrett Austin in 5th. Dallas Sullivan will start on the outside of row 3. Then you've got Philip Beaver in the 7th position, followed by Marty Calvert in the 8th spot. Then Stacy Hunter starts in 9th today. Oliver Goff will start in 10th, followed by Robert Goff in 11th position. John Mankowski will round out your first 12.
We continue going down the starting grid with Zachary Austin on the inside of row 7 and Blaine Adams alongside him in 14th. Edward Peltz in the 7 machine is going to start in 15th with Timothy Emmanuel in 16th. Christopher Tepp, he is the final driver to set a lap time here in 17th with Brett Adams in 18th. Not too many more trucks to go, but Tom Macy, Ryan Traver around at your top 20. Zach Panzarella, Richard Pruitt, Jake Mackey, and Colton Easterday, your top 24 runners, your top 12 rows. And I believe that is the entire starting grid.
As I said, 24 starters here for the season finale, for the year finale, really. Like I said, they have the year-long championship with the playoffs that they also compete with. Obviously, they'll be starting up in December, but that will count towards 2024 since iRacing does end their 2023 early. Each year, they have the build usually around the first week of December, first or second week. So we'll get some early Christmas presents on the way. And right now, before they can focus on that, they have to try and make sure they get a good wrap up here in 2023, Dylan. So they're on the track. They're ready to go. How are you feeling inside the cockpit?
I think you're nervous no matter what, but it's now or never, right? You've been waiting here for a couple of weeks to get this thing going. It's been a weird break, right? You don't usually get any breaks in PRL stuff, but nonetheless, gonna be a lot of fun seeing all these drivers try to do battle here. It's a quick pace lap. We're going green once we get out of turn 4 here. I'm excited. In one word, I'd say I expect some chaos.
I do as well, but let's cross our fingers that we get some green flag racing. There have been some messy ones this season. And we've also had some really clean green flag runs. What's it going to be today here at the new Atlanta? There goes our pace car. Karakov has control. He does have to wait for the call from the flag stand. There's the green flag from Barney as the double aught gets underway and they start to pick up speed. So far behind them, our championship leader gives a little bit of a tap to get him going.
We all shuffle into turn 1. These trucks starting to get going quickly here. Look at this. All the roar of this pack. 40 minutes of racing action. We should see, if it went green, 75 laps the entire way. Timing wise, I don't think we're going to see 75 laps.
Yeah, I think it's going to go quickly if it does go green. The speeds here are immense. It was even quick before they upped the banking of this track. It was already a very, very fast circuit. Coming back around here on lap 2 already. So far, so good. Haven't seen any drama throughout the field. It does look like everybody understands they're in for the long haul of this 40-minute race.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important thing. It is, you have to go into it, at least at the start, feeling like it will be a bit of a long haul, but quickly you're going to start churning out some lap times and you're going to realize you're outside the top 10 and we're already 10 minutes into it. You do the math and we only have a half hour left. That's going to be a scary sight to see, a scary thought. So some of these drivers are going to start to make moves very quickly, very brash-like, and that could lead to some calamities.
So far, not a lot of huge movers. Timothy Emmanuel is up 4, and I think he's got the most of anybody out there right now. He's down a little farther in the mid-pack. Up at the front, it has stayed pretty consistent. Maybe 1 or 2 positions changed, but I do notice that it looks like the top drivers are immediately getting on the bottom side, and you don't get a second row until you get back to around 7th place here, Dylan.
Yeah, I noticed that too, and it is quite interesting. And I think we'll see it go through ebbs and flows. At one point, there's going to be some sort of a checkup on the inside. That's going to allow the outside to gain some momentum. See a truck into the wall in the entrance of 3 and way up into the wall. Oh, 23 almost came down and hit Pruitt there. Adams is struggling, but he's going to lose the draft. That is a ill-handling race car.
It's very strange. The truck almost looked like it just started to lose control immediately into the corner. Not sure if maybe he had some sort of hardware issue, but the 23 has lost the slipstream of those in front. So he is now on his lonesome as we watch Marty Calvert there on the high side in the 16, now leading that second line, that high line. Just behind the car of Philip Beaver, down to the bottom side of him. Will he be able to work together with those behind him, try to maybe push forward, or is he going to be content to wait for an opening and dive down low?
That is the question. Look at that inside line, the truck's starting to accordion, and then you got to run from the outside. That's what I'm talking about, the ebbs and flows of this race. Now, once you get a little bit of a push inside and you're taking in all that air, all of a sudden you're going to slow down quite quickly unless you side draft, put some air on the bumper. And look at that, a big move down to the bottom, kind of leaves them all out to dry on the outside right there. And I feel like it is going to last. If Kirby's able to get down to the bottom, that'd be great, but he has to do that now.
And that was Dalton Geyer there in the 365. He's lost 4 places since the start. Remember, he is one of our championship hopefuls, our playoff 4. So he's got to try and see if he can maybe push forward a little bit here, I imagine, because right now Karikoff and Loving are both in front of him to try and take that championship as they fly onto the back stretch once again. This is pushing him ahead of Marty Calvert, so it does look like that was a good call.
Yeah, absolutely. Good call indeed, and we're going to keep seeing shuffling and moves made all race long. It's going to be quite a different look as to compared to Auto Club later in the night when we go to PRL Grand National Racing.
Certainly. And so far, I'm glad to see that it has been relatively calm out there. It does look like most of the drivers are thinking long term on this one, try and get some laps in and then wait till the end of the race. Not too narrow of a track, although when it comes to super speedways, there's certainly no Talladega here, Dylan. So if it does start to pick up, do you foresee 3 wide, or is it mostly going to try and stick to 2 wide here?
Oh, we're going to get 3 wide at 1.
And we got a caution.
And caution comes out. 5 minutes into this one. Looks like it's happened in the back of the pack. And yikes, that's a slow-moving race car. Is that the 17 of Christopher Tepp? It is.
It is indeed, and he collected a few others. It was a bit of a 3-wide situation. I think he got into the side of Robert Goff, and the two kind of bounced off one another, and unfortunately, it does look like Easterday and Maki were kind of collected in the melee somewhat innocently. Also good avoidance, it looks like, from Traver in the 03, just managing to clear through the smoke. So 3 trucks unfortunately damaged in that one. Tepp significantly enough that he is headed into pit lane.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Tepp. I feel like no one obviously wants to end the season on a bad note, especially with it being a short off season, but it is the off season. You don't want to go into it wanting to get a better result, at least a respectable result. Crashing out of the final race, having all that damage is a very unfortunate thing. Look at that. That's some moves from drivers. The top of the mid pack coming down into pit road. Dallas Sullivan, of course, one of the championship competitors, makes the move to go into the pits. What do you think about this?
I think he was behind his rivals, so maybe he figures this is a good opportunity to shake things up, try to do something a little different. Tires used to be a big part of this track before the changes. What about now that it's got the higher banking as we take a look at the replay? Oh, a bounce off the wall, so that's what started it there.
Holy cow, 17 went so hard into that angle through the dog leg, and that's just part of the reason I know a lot of people who watch NASCAR, watch oval racing, don't love the dog legs. You know, the original point of it was to make it a better viewing experience for fans, but you also come with the fact that the angles in that dog leg are so sharp that if you turn right into them, you're going at full speed and you are hitting it at the worst possible angle. I mean, without a safer barrier in the real world, a hit like that, that could do some damage.
It really could. So thank goodness we're racing in the virtual world on this one. You can definitely get away with a lot that you wouldn't necessarily want to see in real life as much. Since we're under caution, why don't we take a moment to take a look at the seasonal championship standings, of course, starting with the drivers on this one. As I mentioned, Steve Loving is leading it. Sullivan also in the hunt for this as well. But like I said, he needs kind of a miracle as well as a win to overcome Steve Loving at 31 points apart because of the number of trucks that showed up tonight. Pretty much impossible for anybody below them to try and take the championship. But for Dallas Sullivan, the numbers are against him. And I think unless you see a 23rd or 24th finish for Steve Loving, he's got this one about wrapped up. They also do a team standings here. Dylan, you want to run us through that real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. As we run through these team standings.
Apologies.
Graphic. We don't have teams, but guess what? we do have the power of research, and I can tell you what the team standings are. And I've got the link up right here, and we've got Team CPR 626 points compared to DDI Motorsports 44 Ever. That is a 38-point gap. Behind them in third is Adams Family Racing, much farther back, 96 points off that top spot. There are some battles, but it's really going to come down to needing a huge swing here. But driver standings looks like it's pretty much set for who's going to win. The championship 4, though, it's anything but figured out.
Yeah, that will come down to who takes the highest finishing position. Nice and simple to figure out, but certainly nerve-wracking for the drivers as we're getting ready for green, our first restart of the session. There's the green flag. We accelerate away. Will it go back to the low line quite quickly? As quickly this time, as it does look like Steve Loving starting from second, might not be in second place as long since he started from the high line. Garrett Austin gets in front of him. In fact, he's caught out. Look at this. He's getting shuffled back a little bit.
Yeah, he's gotten shuffled back quite a bit. Look at that. Oh, a little bit shaky there on the inside for Loving. Again, everyone trying to get up to speed. It's so treacherous here because there aren't too many drivers, so you all can see that lead of the race. It's right there, right? You can taste it. You can smell leading a lap, and you do get bonus points for leading a lap. Of course, everyone's going to try and go for it. Karakov in the lead.
Karakov has been leading for most of the race. Loving making back up what he lost very quickly. But up to the high side, Marty Calvert looks like he's got a bit of a run as he tries to use that momentum down the hill to push himself forward. Garrett Austin in third wants to deny him with the shorter distance on the bottom. Already 10 minutes through this race, and we heard Dylan mention earlier, this can certainly seem to go by quite quickly, and it has. We're a quarter of the way through.
Quarter of the way through, and already we've got just one driver out of this race. 23 trucks can still win it. It will have to take some monumental efforts and some luck to be there at the end, but the championship competitors are trying to do exactly that. Let's take a look back real quick. Look at the back, the midfield. Dallas Sullivan currently in 16th place in that 46 machine, trying to make some moves here to get back into this talking point, into this situation, but it's just so hard without putting yourself in a really dangerous spot here.
It certainly is, and it's staying a lot more too wide than what we saw before, I think, because that high line is not dropped back nearly as quickly. Calvert trying to hold on and doing so quite successfully without really much help. You can see that second car in the lane is not really pushing him along as we look a little farther back here to a little bit of a second top line there. That's Robert Goff, who's dropping off of the truck in front of him, trying to dip low, maybe use a little bit of that side draft.
Yeah, and hey, fast is fast, right? If you've got a fast truck, if you've got a good sense of racecraft, you're going to be getting your way through the field and trying to take each obstacle as a way to just figure out another solution. So we'll see what these trucks are able to do. Look at that hole in the bottom there. That is something that if you've got the room in the bottom, maybe go ahead and take it, but the hole is potentially closed up there. And it's unavailable anymore for, I believe that was Oliver Golf. Yeah, and that 85 machine that could have come down, but Kirby has filled that gap.
Yeah, he made no motions to try and take it, and it was definitely clear for quite some time. So I think he's content where he is. Seems to like that high line a little bit better, especially, or maybe he just likes riding along with Calvert. Maybe he thinks Calvert's the one with the speed today when it counts.
Yeah, maybe. Still got to be there at the end, though, right? We are closing in on that halfway point. Wild to think about that. Wild to say that already. And once we're at that halfway point, some drivers are going to be saying, hey, I've got the, the fuel to make it all the way. If it goes green all the way, I still don't think it's going green the rest of the way here. I think we're going to have some chaos. And I'll be honest, once you hit 5 minutes left, I do think a caution will come out, and we'll have to hope that this race ends under green flag conditions. But we've so often seen PRL races end under yellow flag conditions. Championship race at Atlanta, I'd be putting money on the fact that it would end under yellow.
Yeah, I think if you pulled up a lap chart and had a graph of statistics of a yellow, I'm pretty sure the last few laps at super speedways just skyrocket upwards in terms of expecting one. Tend to see the green-white checkers, but here we don't have that available. It is a timed race. Everybody's going to be watching that like a hawk. Karakov has had nothing but clear air, and that's the question, though. What's going to happen when he gets shuffled backwards? We already saw Steve Loving did a pretty decent job when he had to make up some positions getting back forward. Does the double aught have the chops to try and return to the front quickly?
Oh, we're wrecking it, Sullivan! Dallas Sullivan is spinning, and oh, goodness.
There's
no
the caution.
There we go. Oh, he was hit at the end. That is potentially championship ending. I cannot believe he was just smacked, just going so slow by the 23 of Brett Adams right there, who was still wrecking. Holy cow.
So the 46 of Sullivan getting turned a little bit. This initially came from a hit by John Mankowski. Tried to save it for what felt like forever. And unfortunately, it all came to naught at the very end when he kept it out of the wall even, but could not keep from avoiding another truck. I think it was Brett Adams that came across him. Here's the initial contact. And it was ghost contact, too, to add insult to injury.
Yeah, and, it is interesting, right? What you see on one screen might not be what actually happens. There's no reason. I don't know if there's a factor there at that final hit where, if you're Sullivan, you need to accelerate to get away from these guys who are still wrecking. But even then, hold the brakes too, right? That there's two sides to that story, and it's just an unfortunate circumstance. Look, Adams has kind of wrecked himself there, and he is holding the brakes, I think, but. Goodness me, he made a meal out of that one.
Yeah, he unfortunately could not get it woed up in time. Stephen Kirby seems to have missed his pit stall as a bunch of drivers have come in, and Karakov's going to be the first out, but Richard Pruitt stayed out. Blaine Adams did as well. Zach Panzarella, and interestingly, Brett Adams stayed out. That seemed like a pretty hard hit. I would have thought he'd at least need to come in for some repairs.
Yeah, that is surprising, but maybe you just want to see what speed you got here. Not going to be too many more caution periods possible to get that damage repaired, and obviously you're not going to see any green flag pit stops unless the damage is so severe that you're blowing up in the middle of it. But very interesting that Adams is all the way up there as well.
So both Adams drivers find themselves now in the top 5. I was trying to ask earlier before the first of these yellows started to come out, Dylan, do you think tires will count for something with the steeper banking here, or is it kind of like places like Daytona and Talladega where the fresh tires don't mean nearly as much?
Yeah, it's not going to matter too much. It shouldn't, at least, especially with the race length being what it is and the green flag laps being as much as we're possibly seeing. You shouldn't need tires, but it is a nice to have, if not for a psychological kind of thing. If you're already coming down for damage repairs like the 23 is who just exited the sim, so maybe there are some issues in that truck that we were not previously aware of. But tires aren't not really the biggest thing. I'll tell you where tires are going to be a premium at, and it's the next race that we're going to, the PRL Grand National Series at Auto Club.
Now, Brett has a black flag for some reason. I'm not sure why. Checking to see if he sped in pit lane here. Yeah, he may have sped in pit lane because he did not have a meatball flag, so the car should be good to continue. Shouldn't need that extensive of repairs, but he's left the car, and you're allowed to do that and get back in. But if he has decided that he doesn't want to return to it, that would mean that unofficially Steve Loving would be our champion, because he would finish no lower than 22nd. And for Dallas Sullivan, who now has been involved in an accident, I mean, the chances are slim to none on him being able to win the race and take this away. So it's looking pretty darn likely at this stage that Loving will be crowned champion. It just has not been confirmed, as the pace car is in, and Richard Pruitt will now lead the race on the restart. He's in the restart zone, and the green flag is out. He gets a pretty good jump over Blaine Adams. Will Blaine duck down to the bottom? Yes, he'll take that second place.
Still walking our way to this halfway point. These caution periods are relatively quick, surprisingly, 4.5 minutes in length. So we still might have a lot more caution still to come here, but Richard Pruitt currently in the lead, but Blaine Adams with the speed on the outside. Adams will look to take that spot away, inches ahead through 3 and 4, but Pruitt fights back on the bottom.
Interesting that he took the bottom line initially, but then once he got some pull, he tried to jump back up high and see if he could take the lead away. It hasn't quite worked, but we now have 2 rows pretty consistently all the way down to the back of the field here on the second lap of restart. Carrico, for the first time, is not up in clean air. He's helping to push Pruitt.
Oh, look at that. A little bit squirrely there on the outside, trying to find the momentum is Zach Panzarella in 4th place. Matthew Karakov, currently your championship winner if the results stay as is, but Loving is in 5th. And you look a little bit further back, Dalton Geyer in 13th, Dallas Sullivan in 22nd. Off the pace just a little bit. Is Sullivan no longer in contention for this championship?
So they carry on around here, now officially past the halfway mark, and looks like things are tightening up a little bit as we're getting more tense and we're getting more yellows here.
Yeah, for sure. And you also have to remember, who you're racing with, and Pruitt has not really been racing up front at all this year. So for the chance, his chance to win a race, I mean, that's big. He's never won in PRL competition before. He could win this one.
He has had a single top 10 this season, not even any top 5s to his name over the course of it. So yeah, Richard Pruitt is in dire need of a boost, and certainly to have it at the end of the season. And
Geyer needs to win.
Yeah. These drivers will want to try and do their best to carry on good momentum in the offseason to go into 2024. Can Pruitt do that? Blaine Adams gets a good push, though. Will he jump to the bottom? Yes, absolutely he will.
Yeah, big run right there. And, of course, with Blaine Adams. Oh, look at that! Big crossover. Big block from Pruitt. Panzarella wanted that spot. Yeah, it's getting testy up front. You've got drivers that just haven't been up front all year with a chance to win this one. I mean, they're going to be testy. They're going to be the most aggressive ones in this field.
Yeah, Panzarella getting down to the bottom. He wants the inside line in that 247. 16 of Marty Calvert, once again, leading that top line. We saw him do that before, and quite well. And what do you know? He is actually creeping up alongside Blaine Adams now.
Oh, there's a truck up high, not in the wall yet. But remember, you get in the wall here, you're kind of sucked up against it, and then you can bounce off of it, get other trucks involved, and then it's chaos in the back. 2 drivers out of this race, Adams and Tepp. Oh, there's a big hit in the outside. Speak of the devil, and it comes to fruition. It's Pruitt into the wall. And Steve Loving, who will just slide. Looks like everything's good for Loving for the most part, but Pruitt with a massive hit into the outside wall in turn 2. Goodness me, that's race over for him. Looked like he could have won this one.
I think he clipped the apron, and Loving was just wrong place, wrong time. This is exactly what we have been talking about, is that these sorts of races at these tracks, Dylan, just open up the unexpected, the unplanned, and it's the last thing that Loving wants. Again, it might not mean as much, but I'm sure it's not the way that he wants to round this out.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, end of the day, you don't want to be involved in a wreck. Here's the replay, and we're watching from up high.
Yeah,
he just clipped it and lost control, and then they're still wrecking past him. I mean, that's a bad mistake right there from Richard Pruitt. That if Loving doesn't win this one, or has some problems at the end of it, then he's got a rightful right kind of to pick with Pruitt. And I hate to say it, Pruitt ran once in the top 10 all year, and this was a golden opportunity for him, and he kind of just threw it away.
That secondary accident you mentioned was Easter Day, I think, getting a small punt from Zach Austin. So just cars trying to take avoiding action, getting slowed down, and sometimes those things do happen. Number of drivers in pit lane after that, mostly towards the back of the field. But Blaine Adams still leading and still has not taken a pit stop, interestingly. Wouldn't expect him to be able to get to the finish on the same tank of fuel unless we had a whole lot more cautions. Maybe he's just thinking, might as well throw the Hail Mary for that, Dylan, and try it and then pit whenever he needs to.
I mean, maybe. Why not? I feel like we're not done wrecking here. I think, if anything, I mean, it's been pretty consistent, right? Every 5 minutes or so, we get a wreck. You put that into play here, and you just need 1.5 wrecks to go until this race is over. So
that's true, yeah. Well, while we're waiting for the yellow to finish out here, let's take a look at what we've got in store for 2024 in the PRL.
At home.
Minutes of racing, and are we going to go 3 wide into the opening corner? That was a very late dive. He managed to make it work. And he gets the green. We're underway. 3 races left. Makes it work, and the defending champion wins at Circuit Lebanon.
Certainly looks like it's going to be an action-packed year, and I have no doubt been following this league for a long time now. They always put on a good show, and all the different awesome variety of styles of racing that they include means that everybody gets something that they love. But who will love today? Who will be crowned a champion, not only for the year, but for the season? Will it be the same person on that end? Right now, Geyer, Karakov, Sullivan, and Loving. Well, it looks like Karakov, I think, is the highest positioned. He sits in 6th. And he's also been, I'd say, the closest to the front this whole race here, Dylan.
Yeah, for sure. I know we've seen other drivers, Loving and, of course, Sullivan, get involved in some issues. But for the most part, Karakov has been pretty up front the entirety of this race. 13 minutes to go. How many green flag laps will we get?
Green flag.
Let's find out. We got the green flag right now as we restart with just under 13 minutes to go. And we suspect that maybe Blaine Adams could actually try and get it to the end. Dylan was trying to do the math there during the break, and he believes that the 33 can, in fact, do it. But he got a big jump here. That is a no-no at super speedways. Is he going to get swallowed up?
The answer is yes. He's going to absolutely get swallowed up going to 3. It's going to be about how well he can recover. Still a gap between him and second in line. Big run coming from Matthew Karakov there, but he had to pull out of the throttle. They're all kind of in line again, so it wasn't hurting him too much. I don't think if we went another 6 minutes or so with another restart that Karakov would have been as forgiving there.
He's fighting the 16 for it here as Calvert rides the high line. A little bit of a bobble behind him from Philip Beaver, who is now helping him. We got a car in the wall. That is Robert Goff. He's able to get off of it, but a few drivers having to duck to avoid. Ryan Traver trying to give him a little space in there. Meanwhile, we're seeing a little 3 wide up towards the front.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's a reminder, Dallas Sullivan has moved into P12 at the moment. Dalton Geyer in 6th with Karakov in 3rd. I mean, really the only one that you can't see winning this championship at this point is Steve Loving, who's laps down. This is going to come down to it. This is going to be great.
Yeah, so that'll be for the year-long championship. Loving's still our seasonal champion, even if he is scored 21st here. And that is regardless of bonus points and everything. If you start taking away some of those bonus points, then absolutely is the champion on this one already. Up to the high side for the double aught. Once again, he's been a huge protagonist for this championship hunt. Matthew Karakov going to get in front of the 16. Oh, as we got another car in the wall there.
It looks like they've recovered well, but 3 wide midfield and going through the dogleg. Another truck into the wall. Save it. Come on, son.
So that was Dalton Geyer, I believe, getting into the wall initially and then getting out. Didn't see who the second truck was. Down to the bottom as Blaine Adams flirts with that apron. We've already seen one truck get shot to the high side by getting too close there.
Man, Geyer just lost himself 7 or so positions with that one move. And, I mean, that could be championship over right now. The only one from the championship 4 in the top 10 is Karakov in 2nd. He could win this one easily. I say that, but, you know, broadcaster's curse is a thing.
Yeah, exactly. And he just has to finish ahead of the others as he gives a big shove to Adams, who jumps to the high side, curiously. He's going to allow Emmanuel to try and take the bottom. Oh, and then he tries to ride both, but unfortunately, when you ride the fence, you hit the wall.
Karakov involved. The 33 gets turned.
Turned hard. Removes the nose of the truck in the process. It looks like another one involved scampering across the grass there in the infield. That was, I'm going to be honest, that seemed really silly to try and cover both lanes. Because, I mean, I could kind of see that one happening, if I'm honest, Dylan.
Yeah, we'll get a replay here. And at this point, you've kind of put yourself in the worst position if you are Adams out in front. Oh, goodness. I'm just trying to think of, you know, yes, you could say, hey, Karakov, why are you taking the 3 wide? Well, there's 10 minutes to go in the race, and you're fighting for a championship, right? You're looking to win this one, and you've been given a golden opportunity because the driver who was in front of you just decided to not do anything to stay in line. That is very much on Adams right there. No question about it. Just ran up high. Didn't know he had anyone on the outside or couldn't stay in the middle on corner exit. But just as I talk about the broadcaster's curse with Karakov, guess what happens?
I mean, it ain't over till you hit that checkered flag, and Karakov has to come into pit lane to take some repairs. In fact, significant repairs. He has a meatball flag. So does Blaine Adams. And Dallas Sullivan, you're right. How in the world did he go from being involved in our first wreck to now being the highest driver of the championship 4?
There's very few times when we've done a broadcaster's curse and called out the fact as like a fourth, you know, breaking the fourth wall, saying, you know, the broadcaster's curse exists. And then a lap later, you're told you're right with the broadcaster's curse with Karakov. And I don't know if that's a reverse curse. What do you think? What is the terminology to use?
I mean, I don't think it matters if you mention that you've said it. It's more that
You've said it.
Yeah, you've elicited it. You can't take back Bloody Mary, by saying, So Dalton Geyer is still out there in it, but as we said, Loving is still in pit lane. Now, did Kirikov get back out there? Was it a quick one? Yes. Oh, okay. He got lucky. He is still on the lead lap, even after a meatball flag. Wow.
That is very surprising. I mean, sometimes you've got a meatball for just 25 or so seconds of required repairs and then 4 minutes of optional, right? So it's not over yet, but I mean, bearing a wreck on the first couple laps of this restart, that wreck would be, or a wreck after that fact, it would end this race. And he's really hoping that Sullivan makes a mistake here, because now it's Dallas Sullivan legitimately in the best spot for this championship. How in the world did we get here?
And all the different types of racing that I have covered, the one thing that I have learned that is consistent is that the racing gods are fickle. So for Dallas Sullivan to be back up to the front might be a surprise, but at the same time, you just kind of expect things to be a little wild and crazy here at a mini super speedway in the 46. Now starting on the outside of the second row with 6 minutes to go, is far better placed than his rivals. Dalton Geyer is going to be down in 10th. He could still climb up and catch him, but it'll take some impressive moves. And then Kirikov is from 18th. So his will probably need a wreck for him to do it, unless he absolutely blitzes the field to get back to the front. And that, Dylan, is assuming we stay green.
That is very much assuming we stay green. These cautions have been around 4.5 minutes each, so maybe 2 laps before we know that it's going to be next flag, next caution would end the race.
And, of course, Emmanuel would like to win this one, of course, as we get the green flag. And we still have the winner of this race to talk about, as well as Dalton Geyer jumping around the outside, was waiting for that one, and he timed it just right. Can he manage to actually work his way up to the front, as he's gone 3 wide, but nobody's with him yet?
Yeah, trying to make that third line work, but if no one goes with you, there's no way you can make it work. He's going to hope for some shuffling up here, and look at that. He's still got some speed. He could come down. It's now kind of 2 wide situation for him. That was as perfect a start you could have if you're Geyer.
71 of Hunter having a bit of an issue there to get it back single file, but managed it well. Geyer did gain a couple spots out of that move. It was risky, but I guess when it's the championship, you got to take some risks. Meanwhile, Oliver Goff is now your leader with Timothy Emmanuel on his bottom side. They're trading it back and forth as Dalton Geyer gets spun. He flew too close to the sun. He is going to wreck out. 4 minutes left. Is that the end of it? Is Sullivan our champion?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I've never seen so many Championship 4 competitors directly involved in a wreck in this race. I mean, all of them have been involved. If you've ever wanted the answer to the question of, hey, what would happen if all 4 drivers wrecked? This is what you're getting. Dallas Sullivan has got a ton of damage on that truck, but somehow, some way, is the least damaged of them all. I was just about to say Geyer had only hit the wall once in this race, and thank goodness I didn't say that, because that would have really looked bad.
I'm trying to remember which year it was. It just, it makes me think back to one of the years that Will Power was trying to win an IndyCar championship, wrecked out, and had the team sit and try and completely rebuild the car at Auto Club to get it back out in hopes that maybe he could take it. But you can see multiple trucks involved in this one. And in this case, Dallas Sullivan did repair the truck, get back out there, now sits in 4th place, and we are at about 3.5 minutes left to go. Now let's see what the pace laps look like in terms of length. About 1:38 I'm seeing.
It could be a 1-lap shootout.
Again.
I mean, yeah, it's always happens. What did I say earlier? It's most likely going to happen.
Listen, maybe the racing gods love a good theme, and if they're going to pick a theme for the season, it would be 1-lap shootouts, and especially extra surprise laps that we didn't even think could happen.
Right. 8 seconds to go in the in the race, negative 8 seconds to go in the race, and we still get another lap. That's just kind of how it works here. If you're coming to the green and the green's already kind of being shown, Doesn't matter if the time's just run out as you're coming around 4 on the final pace lap. You're going for that final lap.
So let's see here. Karakov's still out there, but he's got a black and orange flag. I think, oh, he must have gotten involved in that one. I didn't see that, but he must have also gotten caught up in that wreck because he didn't have that. It's not from the previous one. We're going to see if we can pull that up, and I can't confirm on my end. I just found that he was hit pretty hard there into, I think, Ryan Traver during that accident. Now, you are allowed to stay on track for, I believe it is 3 or 4 laps. Here's the replay, Dylan, but I think he's going to run out of laps, and he's going to get DQ'd.
Well, even if you've got a meatball flag, is it not, no matter what, you're
no, you can finish the race with a meatball flag and you will not be penalized.
Gotcha.
I've seen it happen before.
Have you done it?
I haven't done it, but yeah, I've seen multiple drivers who got meatball flags late in the race, had less than 3 or 4 laps to go, whichever it is, and took the checkered flag and were not penalized in any form or fashion. So,
oh, look at this. We're definitely going back for 1 lap. I'm telling you, 1 lap is what we're going to see.
And Karakov is staying out there, but yeah, he's I think he knows that he's got to try for a Hail Mary and hope that maybe it'll let him take the checkers, but I don't think that's going to be the case here. Instead, Sullivan still sits in 4th. Where is Karakov our next one now? Yeah, I think he is. Karakov back in 16th is his only worry.
And I don't think it's much of a worry.
No.
The damage that he's got. Dallas Sullivan just needs to make sure he does not wreck on this final lap. If he wrecks on this final lap, then yikes.
So, let's see. Dalton Geyer, is he officially out? He's out on the track. Oh, he is on the lead lap. He's in 18th. So he's still a problem in terms of getting wrecked. So he does need to preserve the truck here, as we are going to get the white flag, and it's not going to be extra innings, thankfully, for once. It is going to be an actual 1-lap shootout here. As we come up to the line, Barney holds the green flag aloft, waiting for the restart zone. And it's once again Emmanuel up at the front. There's the green flag.
What?
Oh, a little bit of a jump there from the 16. Hopefully he doesn't get and Karakov just dashes for it. Surely he's going to get a black flag as well. I can't imagine that is going to work out for him, hoping that maybe he can sneak through some sort of loophole here. He is currently your leader, but Dallas is currently in 7th. He's just trying to bring this one home. Cars down to the bottom. We're on the final lap of the race. Is up at the front of it. It is Timothy
Sullivan wrecking.
Oh, Sullivan's managed to get through. Emmanuel is currently leading, but will it be for long? Calvert has the momentum. He's able to go around the outside. They're almost going to wreck at the line. It's the 16 of Marty Calvert. Who is your winner? Karakov crosses in 5th. Is he allowed to keep the position? Sullivan is in 9th. Who is our champion?
I mean, put the race control in the position where you got to make the decision, but...
Oh, well, Karakov had black flags cleared.
That's a
no
joke.
way.
That's a joke. Holy
no
cow.
way. And I don't think that's for the jump start. I think that is for his meatball flag. Did he jump that start though? How did that count?
Yeah, that if Karakov is allowed to be the champion here, he's going to celebrate. Then that is a complete failure here.
Okay, so he had left a big gap at the back.
Yeah, that's absolutely laying back on a restart.
I don't want to be in the middle of this one. I have my opinions on it, but this is a decision for the stewards.
This is wrong. This is wrong. If this is allowed to stand, that's wrong.
You're not supposed to do that. Yeah.
I mean, that's a complete. I mean,
that is well, and it wasn't even that he was trying to catch up. He was hanging back.
Right. He was hanging back trying to time it, and he swapped lanes before the start. He's starting on the inside. You cannot swap lanes. You cannot, lay back. And not only that, but when he did that, he got, he forced Sullivan to make moves too, and could have, even if he didn't win this one, he forced Sullivan into a kind of a crash from his brash move. If this is allowed to stand as champion, then that is a complete failure here.
Well, so let's go through your results, and we'll try to give you the status of things, but we can't yet tell you who is the champion because we honestly don't know. But Marty Calvert is your winner, overshadowed by controversy, unfortunately, with what was a brilliant run by the 16 to take the race win in the last race of the season over Philip Beaver, who wound up in second, beating out Emmanuel, who was leading on the way to the white flag, but just couldn't keep ahead of his rivals. Oliver Goff was fourth. Matthew Carrico finished fifth. He might be your champion if his move is able to stand scrutiny after the race. Garrett Austin finished sixth behind him. Colton Easterday was seventh, and Zach Austin was eighth. Dallas Sullivan was ninth. If they do not let Carrico take that move, then Sullivan is your champion. And then Panzarella rounds out your top 10, Dylan.
Yeah, we continue moving down this order. In 11th, Tom Macy, Dalton Geyer. Finishing in 12th was one of the championship 4 competitors, Stacy Hunter, Jake Mackey, Robert Goff, John Mankowski, Stephen Kirby, and Edward Peltz all in the lead lap, with Ryan Traver finishing 1 lap down, Blaine Adams finishing 8 laps down, and of course you got your final 4 finishers in this one, 21st through 24th, all of them multiple laps down. Loving, Pruitt, Adams, Tepp. Loving is season 4 champion. There are some accusations going on of an intentional wreck against Steve Loving from Richard Pruitt's angle. That's what Loving's saying. So there's a lot of drama coming from this one. All I know is that if Carrico keeps that, then that's a failure there.
Well, before we get to that, let's talk to someone who I think definitely earned a victory here. That is Marty Calvert in the number 16 machine. See what he thinks about how this race wound up. Marty, congratulations. It was close there at the finish. There's all kinds of drama behind you, but for now, I have to imagine you're just stoked for the victory.
I'm still trying to figure out what to think right now. My practice was not promising, and I'll be the first to admit that drafting tracks are not my favorite, and I might be in the minority there, but we just tried to keep it clean, found a groove on the outside that worked, and avoided the wrecks. I guess that's how you do it.
We saw wrecks that took out each of the 4 of our championship protagonists for the playoffs here today. So clearly it looked like a difficult day to stay out of trouble.
Yes, it was. And I guess that's kind of the nature of these tracks. You never know what's going to happen in front of you or behind you. All you can really do is react and hope that you make it through it.
And that you did. But talk about the final run. You come there to the end with Emmanuel leading. You've got Philip Beaver in there, Oliver Goff trying to take the victory. What were your thoughts as you come up to turn 3? Did you know exactly what you needed to do?
Well, Philip's my teammate. Big shout out to him. And I saw that Emmanuel was kind of sticking to the low side, and Philip was behind me, had the outside line covered, so we just moved on up, kept doing what we had been doing, and it worked out.
Indeed, it did. A great way to end the season here. Congratulations. Anybody you want to thank before we head off for the offseason?
Thanks to all the guys at PRL. This is my first season with it. Absolutely did not expect to win beside myself. Thank you guys at RaceSpot. I apparently have my own little following watching these things now, and they absolutely enjoy your broadcast.
Well, thank you very much. That was our winner, Marty Calvert. And behind him, Philip Beaver in the 60 is ready with Dylan Cole.
Yeah, trying to get Philip Beaver in here, and Philip so close to getting that win. I know that it was a 3-wide finish, but is there anything you could have done on that last lap to get it done?
No, I think anything I would have done selfishly for the win would have really messed Marty out of it. And if I couldn't get it, I wanted it for our team. And Marty's an excellent driver, and he's taught me so much. So yeah, I just decided, come heck or high water, I was going to push him and let the cards fall where they may.
Well, they almost did fall your way, but it was a chaotic race from the start. Are you surprised with how it played out in any way?
No, this is really what we expected. I expected pure chaos. And, early especially, I was trying to leave guys room, especially if they were in the championship 4. I did not want to make headlines that way. And it just, we had a big wreck off of 4 there that Marty and I somehow, by the grace of God, missed. And from that point, it just felt like the seas parted. And, it's exciting. I don't know what to say. I do want to extend condolences and our thoughts to the Pennington family. And if you guys are watching, we're thinking of you. You're in our prayers, and we love you.
Well, that is absolutely the case. Anyone you'd like to thank, Philip, before this season gets into its break?
Wow. So many, everybody here that welcomed me with open arms, even though at first I felt like I was a Rick Ware car out there, rolling chicane. But Marty, for teaching me so much. Some friends I've made along the way, Jake and Karakov, congrats on the champ. And my wife, Kelly, for letting me take time away every week to do this. Love you.
All right. Philip Beaver finishing in second place. Congratulations, bud.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for all you do.
And
appreciate that for sure, Joe.
Yeah. And of course, we have our seasonal champion, season 4, Steve Loving, your victor on this one. Probably not the way that he wanted that one to go, unfortunately. But Steve, it was certainly a dramatic one out there. I imagine you didn't want to try and wrap it up sitting in pit lane, but you knew you came in pretty comfortable. What are your feelings as a season 4 champion?
As a champion, season 4 feels great. I think I had a real good chance at taking the whole thing home. We got a lot of great drivers out there. It's a great league, great competition, but there's a couple bad apples. And when you look at someone's in-car cam and they hang a hard right in turn 1 to cause an intentional wreck, it's just unacceptable and pretty disappointing.
I can tell that tensions are pretty high. Do you feel like having the off season to kind of talk amongst yourselves will help things, or is it feeling a bit like there's some serious damage done between friends and competitors?
Well, these things happen. There's always racing incidents. There's always tensions get high, but when you look at a lawn, sometimes you have a couple weeds that you have to pull, and I would assume in the off season the weeds will be pulled. Moving into the next season for season 1, I think we'll hopefully have some of those things corrected. Of another great batch of drivers and some solid teams, and put on another good series of racing. But I'm incredibly thankful for the team CPR. Worked with Karakov at the beginning. Congratulations to Dallas for pulling that off as well. He's been running hard all season, and I didn't see the end if he got tangled up at much or anything else, but. Parts of that race was good, but other parts were disappointing. Really, not much other I could say.
Well, sorry that it's been a bit of a gray cloud over things here, but still, before that, looked like it was a good race out there, and can't wait to see you in 2024, sir.
Yeah, real quick, I also want to thank United Distributing for sponsoring the truck and all the support they do for the team, and also want to shout out Hayden Palumbo, our team owner. At the middle of the season, he had a little bit of an unfortunate incident, but nonetheless, he stuck it out, and he's been a true champ through the end. And also, you all, RaceSpotTV, you always do a fantastic job, so that goes without saying. So thanks for everything you're doing.
Thank you. And after Steve Loving, we have our provisional champion for the year. That is Matthew Kerrigoff. I believe Dylan has caught up with him.
Yeah, I think provisional is definitely a word to use for it. Matthew, I know that right now you're sitting as the provisional champion. Do you feel like that should still be the case once they do a post-race review?
I think so. I mean, I don't know. I did what I had to do. It's the only chance I had. I timed everything pretty good. I had just got a black flag cleared off of me by the admin, so that's when I gunned it. As soon as I got the black flag cleared, I knew I was good to go. So as soon as I got the black flag cleared, I gunned it and went for it.
Well, I do know that there are some accusations of wrecking and potential, payback, anything like that. Just this race felt like a bit of a crapshoot for the championship competitors. What is your angle on all the happenings from that?
Yeah, it's very disappointing because we talked all week about having a good race and letting the championship guys race it out, not cause them much problem. Of course, if you're fast, you're fast. Get up there and try to win it. But we had almost looked like it was take out team CPR or nothing. And that's what happened. Loving got intentionally taken out, and then I basically did. So after that, I had a lot of damage. So that's why I did that Hail Mary on the last lap. It's the only thing I could go for.
All right. Well, those are some strong words, and potentially, I guess we'll see it in that post-race review. Matthew, anyone you want to thank at the end of this season?
Yeah, I want to thank Skyline Roofing, of course, awesome sponsorship, good-looking truck. Thank y'all, because y'all are awesome. Can't wait to go back to watch this. I'm sure y'all were bored. Just kidding. But also, this was all about CM Pennington, and we did that one lap at the very beginning at practice at the end, and it was pretty emotional. I'm going to miss him, and he was a great guy. So it was all about him today.
All right. Matthew Karikoff, thank you very much, and good luck going into the offseason.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that was certainly a race, and Joe, yikes.
It's like he said, I think one of the things that we do need to remember is that, this one is meant to be dedicated to CM Pennington and to give thoughts to his family and his loved ones that obviously miss him a lot. So we do want to extend our sympathies to everyone out there that is hurting right now from the loss of their friend. And it's a bit of a shame that it is being overshadowed by some of the things that has happened out on the track today. But racing often will provide these sort of dramatic moments. The emotions are high. I've often said, Dylan, that the cars are virtual, but the emotions is real.
Yeah, for sure. The emotions are definitely real, and I feel like we're never seeing Atlanta as the season finale again.
That is the most accurate call I think we've had all.
Yes, it certainly is. But oh man, it was certainly something. One lap shootout at the end. I don't buy anything that Matthew was saying about the black flag getting cleared and he gunned it. Well, did you laid back and you swapped lanes? I don't get it. I do, but I also like we were talking about, Joe. The solution's not there.
Like I said, I have many thoughts, but I'm going to leave it to the stewards to call. And we've got to go over to more racing because we have another season finale here at Auto Club Speedway, as we're going to be getting ready for that any moment now. We've just finished qualifying over here, so we're going to be pulling our results up for that here shortly and showing you how this is going to be going in a moment. In the meantime, the driver's standing sees Richard Regan Jr. also quite high up, 23rd or better for him over Abner Acosta. Will help him beat Abner Acosta, and that is disregarding bonus points or anything. So 23rd or better, doesn't matter what bonus points Abner gets. He cannot be beaten if we have the same number of cars as last time or similar. Well, it's, again, going to be a pretty similar one in terms of ease in trying to do it. Now, playoffs for this one, Richard Regan Jr., Abner Acosta, Bradley Holly, and Jeff Evans for the playoffs. That is a Titans list there, Dylan.
Yes, these are the four Titans, honestly, of this entire year and overall, historically, in PRL Oval competition. You can't get many better drivers than Regan Jr., Acosta, Holly, and Jeff Evans. I mean, these are, like you said, the behemoths of this series. And this is definitely a very intriguing way to end the Oval year of 2023 season 4.
It certainly is. And, well, I mean, the bar has been set high in terms of drama. That is for sure. So it's going to be difficult to try and stand up to that. But here we take a look at the team's championship as well. Regenboog Motorsports narrowly ahead of Whattaback Racing. Whattaback, a constant presence in this series, and certainly looking today like they have a very good shot at trying to upset Regenboog for the overall win. Atomic McLebendick Racing are honestly a little bit too far behind to try and do anything from here, so don't expect them to be able to overtake. In fact, it might be mathematically impossible for them. But we do have a good fight between two very, very fast teams up at the top. That is for sure. We'll get you that starting grid here in just a bit. I can tell you, 27 cars. So there's 4 positions that Richard Regan Jr. can finish in and potentially lose the championship.
Okay. Well, stranger things have happened. We've seen those stranger things already happen. And goodness me, as we get into this race with this 2-mile oval of Auto Club Speedway, I'm a little disappointed it's not under the lights. I've got those flashbacks. We were talking about willpower at Auto Club and then season finales for Redacted Car. And that was a wonderful, wonderful place to end those seasons. I enjoyed those, even as an Elio Castroneves fan growing up, where it was the perennial second place in the championship was always confirmed there.
Yeah. Perhaps the greatest driver to never win a championship over on the IndyCar side. But we'll talk about that later. We're on NASCAR style right now here for the Grand National Series in PRL. And Regan Jr. is on the pole position with Bradley Hawley next to him. You've got Thomas Sink starting in 3rd with Jeff Evans in P4. Brett Pancari will start 5th and Abner Acosta in 6th. Reese Bogue will be down in 7th. He's got Matt Gagnon in 8th. Then it's James Morgan 9th and Adam Zimke rounding out the top 10. Danny Cervantes will start 11th, Nick Silver 12th, and Dominic Bejin 13th. Joey Tebbin from 14th. How long will he stay in the tires today? He'll have Dustin Scruggs 15th and Colton Lane 16th. With John Jones 17th and Nick McLaughlin 18th. But we're getting ready to go racing. Last 27 cars, unfortunately, won't be able to get to you here now as we take that green flag. And it's a pretty good start there for Richard Regan Jr. up at the front. Much wider track that we've got here, but much shallower banking and also a longer lap time as they start to pick up speed around this behemoth of a D-oval.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun time. These tires are going to wear quite quickly here with lap times hovering pretty high up the entire leaderboard in terms of, 45, 50 plus seconds that we'll see here. And that means these tires are going to be screaming for help at this midway point.
So Regan Jr. will lead the first lap. Bradley Hawley in behind him. And it looks like Jeff Evans in 3rd. So there you go. No surprise as the playoff sees some of the major players up at the front. Acosta currently in 6th right now. But just like we saw before, the fast guys are usually fast at most tracks. We got a 3 wide a little farther back. In fact, Acosta is part of that with Gagnon to his inside.
Yeah, you see this lead and everybody. Abner Acosta is usually the kind of driver that wants to chill back, hang back a little bit. Kind of reminds me of Trent Dinkle in Cup competition, right? Hangs back. They are on the same team, private label Team Hype. So maybe that kind of plays into strategy here with just saying, hey, this is going to be a long race. The tires are going to be very, very worn by the end of it. No real need to push at this point, but you don't want to get too far off the pack. The top 3 are, of course, all the 3 competitors for the championship 4.
Yeah, still a very, very fast track at hitting 185 miles an hour at the end of the back straightaway. So they're going to be hauling the mail, and it's going to be hard to try and break that toe. Up at the top, bit of a different line there between Regan and Evans. Evans, in fact, getting quite a bit of speed. He's going to be able to pull alongside. Now the question is, can he finish the job?
Yeah, this is a very wide track. You've got a lot of different grooves. You look at that, Bradley Holly going all the way up, going to lose a lot of speed for second as the pass for first is made. Jeff Evans is the leader, but look at all the speed and the ground that Bradley Holly makes up by sacrificing that speed and time and just gaining length around this track up on the wall. It got him into second. We'll see if he's able to continue making some momentum up and get in the first as they go past a little bit of a smoke cloud.
Yeah, not sure what that's about.
Nick Bayer, he's 27 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, you're right. So he must have either had a spin or something there coming off of 4. And yeah, he did. I can't confirm. I found it on my screen. Looks like maybe a bit of contact with Jim Westerfield in the 35. That I don't know if it kicked it off, but it did involve him in some form or fashion. Nick is still on the lead lap. It is such a long track here that he has managed not to go a lap down. Here is the replay. It may have been started off by the contact.
Ooh, big. I mean, look at the car in the neon green all the way in the back, almost getting tagged, but a good, I'd say, save from Bayer right there to kind of just put it out of harm's way in the outside wall, and there's a lot of space going towards that inside wall. Although some drivers in the NASCAR Real World Cup Series have found that inside wall at Auto Club in some painful ways.
Yeah, indeed. He got relatively close to it. We got maybe a pass for the lead here as Bradley Holly gets inside of Jeff Evans. Going to see if he can get that back from the 51. But it does look like the high side is working pretty well because that's what Evans used to take the lead. Can he use it and also keep the lead?
Well, let's see. Some side draft on the left rear, and Evans and Holly continue to do battle. You know, some drivers think, or some people may think, that you're unable to build momentum when you've already not had the momentum coming out of a corner on the straightaway. You're going to have that same speed that you came out of the corner with. That's not completely true as Evans goes into first again clear. You can start to mess with the air, especially on aero-dependent cars at these speeds. If you kind of, use the side draft, if you pack air on a quarter panel, that can make all the difference as you enter in the next corner. Obviously, the draft is playing a big part in these long straightaways, but look at the top 4, man. All championship 4. That is awesome.
Yeah, Cost has managed to make his way past Sink, but he's been gapped to Regan just a little bit. Will he have enough to try and run him down? Will he want to run him down too, is the question. It's a little bit warmer here today compared to what we had back in Atlanta. It's 89 Fahrenheit on the track, so just a couple degrees higher, but also a lot less banking to keep those tires from scrubbing off and heating up over the course of the stint. Will that also play a part in it and trying to preserve your rubber? And is that what Acosta is doing right now?
Yo, there's a wreck in the back, car in the infield. Will a yellow come out? Looks like he's out of harm's way. It's the 60 of, I believe, Colton Lane. So he's going to have to get back going. Oh, he's still struggling. It's very difficult. Some people are surprised as you see Holly and Evans going at it. Look at this big run Holly's going to get. But some people are surprised once you've already lit up the rear tires in these cars, it's very hard to get going again without letting them cool off. Look at the move. Holly trying to send it down the inside, but he did not get the exact space he wanted. He got tight. Evans was forced to wash up along with him. All this is doing is letting Richard Regan Jr. come back into the picture.
And Acosta, too. Let's not forget, as they continue to go side by side. Yeah, I've heard a lot of drivers say that overheating the tires is a serious problem, and many have suffered from it over time. Colton is actually still in 26. Bayer still hasn't passed him from his incident. Trying around the outside once again, Jeff Evans shoots off a turn 2 down the backstretch by the palm trees and is able to fully clear the 184. Richard Regan could maybe have a dive to the inside. He doesn't really seriously try it looks like. Now Holly's going to see if the high side can work for him. Doesn't look like it's as effective for that 184.
Yeah, does not appear to be as effective, but nonetheless, the 184 is still going to have a lot of momentum going down here. The worry is that he's going to have that air packed onto his left rear as he enters, swings around the corner up high. Look at this momentum he's going to gain and carry. He's going to have to swap over, though, as Richard Regan Jr. has cleared him, but not for long. Holly to the inside.
Uses that speed off the hill. And in fact, he's going to use 1 and 2 to slingshot by. He's going to try it there on Jeff Evans. He seemed to like that bottom line before. Is it going to work a little bit better for him this time around? So he is going to at least be able to hold off Regan slightly better than what we saw last time. As they fly down and start lap 12 now. Acosta has now caught them up to where I'd say he's a part of the fray.
Yeah, and I think at this point, again, if you're Acosta, no reason to keep fighting or get involved in this fight. Just sit back. You can really gain yourself some extra tenths or extra seconds even at the end of this long run if it stays green by saving these tires, not pushing it too hard on this first go around.
Exactly. And all three of the others are using them up. Well, I mean, you could see just a little wiggle there. Oh, as a brush of the wall from Acosta.
Wow.
That was interesting. Yeah, I did not expect him to ride that high.
Last person I'd expect to push it as hard as he just pushed it there. And Richard Regan Jr. on that middle groove. You see, it's very clear. You see there's 5 grooves at Auto Club that you can use as Regan Jr. will power his way to the lead. I just forgot that this place is getting torn down. Unbelievable.
What? It's just going to be reconfigured, right? Or is it completely getting torn down? I hadn't heard of this.
Other than the potential for a half-mile short track using the front stretch right here would it start, which is still an undecided, unconfirmed plan. Yeah, everything exiting right from here all the way back around to the front stretch is going to be gone.
Yeah, I had heard about the half-mile plan, and I'll be disappointed because this is one of the fewer unique tracks in NASCAR. But I guess the half-mile, if it will have sort of the curved front stretch, will also be its own little unique thing. But yeah, it'll be sad to lose what has been a somewhat historic track in its short history in the series. Meanwhile, we've got some side-by-side racing now for third position. And Abner Acosta must be turning up the wick. We saw him close to the wall before. Now he's trying to demote Bradley Holly.
Yeah, trying to do that right now. And Holly was pushing really hard at the beginning here. And obviously, I think he's starting to pay for it. And Abner Acosta is starting to kind of pull back out some laps. He's now in third in front of Holly. And Richard Regan Jr. back where he was at the start, up top.
As we come through into turn 3 once again, might have a friend who's not involved in the championship coming up because Thomas Sink now approaches from 5th place. Will he try to get involved? He still certainly wants to win this race, let's not forget, and probably make his stamp, but I'm sure he also does not want to ruin the race for these 4. Everybody's got their own motivations in these sort of unique situations, especially when you have playoff style racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is interesting as Holly's starting to falter a bit. So if you're Thomas Sink, I mean, this is the best chance as he gets right up to the rear of Bradley Holly before pulling out and then just going early on the brakes. Again, not wanting to force himself into this championship 4 conversation. Nonetheless, you know, these drivers can still fight, right? That they are not disallowed from getting involved in a championship 4 battle. But I'll tell you this for sure, to see the speed that the championship 4 has at this track right now, it might make you think a little bit about getting involved just in case.
And I mean, putting that tinfoil hat on here, Thomas Sink is part of Whataback back row, but Bradley Holly is part of Whataback overdrive. So he almost looked like he was trying to bump draft Bradley a little bit there, just trying to urge him forward. So I wonder if there's a little bit of Whataback team tactics going on.
Maybe. That is certainly a case as well. And even then, you know, it's weird, right? With all the teams we usually see in PRL Cup Series action, private label team hype, Abner Acosta's team being a clear step above most everyone else. Nonetheless, Acosta right here is kind of alone in this Championship 4 conversation. It's a very different vibe from what he's used to on Sundays, and he's kind of having it come maybe back against him at some points in this one.
Yeah, still sitting in third, but he's actually up 3 from where he started, so not doing too shabby on that one. Teddy Lowendick, who's been quick lately, was not quick in the qualifying today. He's gained 11 positions, so the 72's done a fantastic job coming up from the back of the field, but still has a ways to go, having only made it roughly halfway through this thing. But there you see that battle for first. Every one of those 4 are your playoff contenders here for the year-long battle in the Precision Racing League Grand National Series.
So cool, right? Like this is a little bit of a palate cleanser from a race we just saw, but nonetheless, this is great racing. You could not ask for a better start to a championship race at a beautiful track such as Auto Club that we're getting. But you see the 12, you see the 06 right there, and the 06. Oh, lordy. Are we going to still see the 06 racing and PRL competition on Wednesdays next season? I sure hope so, with Joseph Tebben, Joey Tebbs, in that machine. I'll tell you what, it's hard not to spot him in this race.
Well, does love that day glow yellow.
Oh, boy.
As
he's in the wall!
Brushes the wall on 2. And he'll keep it going, but lost serious momentum. He's being eaten up there by McLaughlin with those teeth on the front of that 37 as they reel him in. And the 72 of Teddy Lowendick, who I mentioned, who's been our hard charger this race, is also coming into the fray. It has cooled down up at the front, which is why we're now going to the midfield. For all the fighting and battling that we saw, it looks like maybe they've decided it's time to get some laps in.
Yeah, why not, right? And by the way, that's a producer's curse, not a commentator's curse right there with showing Tebben. I am wiping my slate clean from that, and I'm throwing it all on Dane. That's fine. He says, you saw Tebben was not playing with that outside wall and quarter exit right there. Not this time.
Well, we know Joey's a smart guy. He sees no sense in trying to do that again. So he's going to give it a little bit of room. And it helped him tremendously. He's already running away from that pack behind him that's still battling Lowendick, Cervantes, and McLaughlin. It's a fight for 12th in behind him. I do see Joey. Thank you.
I was like, huh? In the bright car. I need a highlighter, and I think I'll just use that car.
Yeah, exactly. Just put the piece of paper close to the racetrack and let him kind of swipe it there. But he's carrying on to try and see if he can make up for his mistake and is already caught up to James Morgan. Can he now try and pass him? He's got a veritable buffet of cars in front of him, actually, because Nick Silver in there and Zemke.
I love that term. Stay out of the wall this time, Joey. Goodness me. Dang, Joey, I can't wait to hear his opinions on this one. But, this is still really good. Look at this, 3rd and 2nd. You see in that battle for first, timing board we've got on the bottom right, Jeff Evans and Abner Acosta are about to be inching ahead as Abner Acosta in this battle for 2nd at the moment. So Evans has dropped back to 3rd as on screen, Tebben is trying to make a move down the inside of James Morgan to get himself into the top 10. Oh, boy.
Kind of surprised. Usually Joey's one that saves his tires and just cools it off for a little bit, but he does seem to be putting in some good pace. Maybe he's using the last race to flip his strategy, surprise some people.
I mean, maybe. The Tebben strategy is certainly a thing we've seen all year, where he's the last one by 10 laps to get, fresh tires, and I don't think it's going to work out for him this season whatsoever. So might as well just try and throw some good lap times out there. He's running really well. He's only 2 seconds off the lead. Of course, the Championship 4 drivers are all in the lead as Bradley Holly looks to make a move on the now semi-struggling Jeff Evans as they're putting in these lap times. The last one was a 42.621. Now it's a 42.738 for Richard Regan Jr. in the lead. That is a 1.5 drop off in 25 laps. So I suspect that very soon you can go 45-ish laps, 45-ish laps on a full tank of fuel, closer to 45 here. We keep at this rate, you know, they could run it dry, but I think, like usual, they're going to want to go halfway for tires.
Most likely. And it's been fascinating to watch the ebb and flow of who's quick win as well. Because, I mean, Regan, for a while, was kind of hanging back, and now he's scampering away from everybody. Acosta, kind of the same deal. Evans and Holly, who look to be two of the faster guys at the start, well, they're suddenly nowhere.
Yeah, they're certainly nowhere at the moment, but, you know, we'll see them kind of come back into this one. I think your first go around here, your first green flag session, it sets the tone as Holly got very loose there. Stay on the wall this time. Joey is not Bradley Holly, but stay one back overdrive racing is Bradley Holly. I was going to say stay out of the wall Bradley because he almost put it into the wall, but he's going to really hug that inside line, drifts up just a bit, but Jeff Evans gave him the space. All the time, you got to leave it a space, and Jeff Evans said, sure. My point stands.
He gave him just enough. He has a self-preservation instinct, I'm sure. Whoa, way up high here. Holly
that could have been right center right there.
Well, I mean, I know Holly. He knows what he's doing, and I guess he figured he had enough room to absolutely send it there, and it worked. Look at that. Just flies off of turn 2 and shoots ahead of Jeff Evans.
Yeah, that was an awesome move right there. Holly going for it all, and why not, right? You don't want to be third place of the championship 4 as we get into the second stint of this race is a much more palatable statement than 4th, right? You only got to make it past 2 guys, not just 3, all of them. So big move for Holly right there, and he's already shot to 4/10 in front of Evans, who we just passed there.
Now Sink is there once again, and it's not his teammate in front of him. Is he going to be less motivated to just bump draft to try and pass for 4th place as Poncari goes by on the outside of Gagnon now? Looks like Poncari actually down 1 from where he began this race, so trying to recover from what he had lost before. Also, watch out for Zemke back there in the 57. Kind of noticed that red car kind of hovering around there. At times, he can be a real problem for the front runners, for victories, and just finding speed at inopportune times for the other quick cars. But we still have 30 minutes left to go, not even to the halfway point of this race. We're starting to see a pack form basically from 4th down to 11th.
Yeah, that pack is forming quickly, and this is not a place where you expect to see any form of pack racing, but with these drivers all as evenly matched as can be, you see that bumpy texture, that bumpy surface here in Fontana. And now you see what I was mentioning earlier in this race. Abner Acosta, he saved those tires early on, didn't push them too hard. It's not really a saving as much as it's a don't, overextend your usage of the tires. And now he's really closing in 3 tenths back of Regan Jr. in the 56 for the lead of this race and to be in the spot to win the championship.
Exactly, and I'm glad you brought that up because it's not just the playoffs, but let's remember the seasonal championship as well, which is between Regan and Acosta. And yes, Regan is leading, and you'd think, well, even if Acosta passes him, Abner's not going to be able to take that seasonal championship. You have to remember, we saw last time, anything can happen here. If Richard finishes 24th or lower, then that means if Abner wins and takes bonus points, he could still steal this away from half court, essentially, and claim it right at the buzzer.
Yeah, that's true. Could absolutely claim it at the buzzer. We get a look at Joey Tebbin again in this pack. It's getting really hairy. You see that minimally open, not even open fully, middle groove, and he slots right up in front of Reese Bogue, who's in 13th. Now a big run with Adam Zemke on the inside. He's going to have to try and run this outside groove, but Tebbin is going aggressive. We don't usually see this from Joey, but I love that we're seeing it now.
Yeah, and I think maybe he's switched something on here at the end. He knows he doesn't have much to lose. Maybe just try and go a little bit different this time. He's fighting side by side with Zemke on the bottom, and we've seen the top side certainly look like the place to be so far, as many cars have carried speed off the corner. He loses on the outside initially with it being longer distance, but higher up as gravity pulls him down, as the momentum holds better with less steering input. Look at him fire on ahead, and down low, the 4 of Reese Bogue is going to follow him through.
Yeah, Reese Bogue, and look at this, 25 of Danny Cervantes trying to make a move on James Morgan. And all of these drivers, they're running so good and so close in time that it's just hard to separate themselves as we start to get pit stops. Oh, I like this move from Jeff Evans. He was 4th of all the Championship 4 competitors. Why not try the undercut? It's not a bad call at all.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't look like he was going to beat them on raw pace here today, especially on the long run. He fell back quickly, much like we saw Holly do. So let's try something different. Let's see if we can catch him out or lure them into a similar mistake. I mean, he'd both be in the hole, but you never know. Could luck out for you and not for them if you manage to stay on the lead lap and they don't. Meanwhile, the 24 of Nick Silver here, now close to the front of this group with Matt Gagnon just in front of him. And they drift way up the hill behind him, getting very close between the likes of the 4 and the 06. And we got another taker in pit lane. That is the 57.
The 57 has come down pit road, and multiple drivers have followed in behind. You know, I know I said it once, but I'll say it again. I love the move from Jeff Evans. This is potentially, you know, he'll definitely struggle in the last couple laps on the second stint, but this could potentially be a championship winning move. If a caution comes out at any period, it kind of resets everybody, and then he'd get some help there. So I like the gamble. I really do. He's going to have to really be strong on these outlaps, and his defense has got to be admirable to win this one.
I tell you what, I think it's going to work because, yes, he went a lap down, but I'm watching him right now in the corners, and he's driving by people like it looks like there's multi-class racing out there. He is unbelievably fast in the turns right now.
Awesome. Here's a look on the left side, and Evans again by Bradley Holly, and now you see him on the right side as well. So he's about to unlap himself. If he's able to unlap himself in the next lap or two, then he's going to feel a lot more comfortable with, you know, the prospects of a caution potentially coming out. Regan Jr. and Abner Acosta stay on track, so they're going to get past the halfway point before they even think about coming down the pit road.
And not many other takers. Looks like Teddy Lowendick is going to be coming in along with Morgan. And I see Nick McLaughlin also pitting in this time. I mean, if you're Regan Jr., do you have to commit to the longer run? Do you have to stick with your strategy, or do you try to respond?
I mean, I think for what Regan Jr. is doing, so it's a tale of two halves, right? First half, you got to replicate it in the second half if you're Richard Regan Jr., and he's driven flawlessly so far, and he's coming down pit road right now. You can tell by his speed, or maybe not. No, he
Acosta is.
Oh yeah. Acosta is, and Holly followed. Acosta went in as well. Richard Regan Jr. is going to be the last one to come out, and of course that car flying by was the driver of the Jeff Evans machine, because, well, Evans wanted to come down first. Just trying to get my bearings right on here. I don't know if this is the right move to stay out an additional lap for Regan Jr. He will have fresher tires, but at what cost?
Yeah, well, maybe he's thinking I need to go extreme on this because if I only do it halfway, then he's surely going to be in front of me in the end. So just try to make it so that he's now on older tires, I'm on fresh ones at the end, and I catch him back up as Acosta and Silver now exit pit lane, as well as Holly. I anticipate they're going to be jumped very easily by that bright pink machine of Evans. In fact, yeah, he's long gone. Look at that.
I mean, it's going to have to be, you know, equaling out though at the end of this run. I don't mind the call from Evans, but he does have tires that, when you come down to it, when you look at it, are, you know, 6 laps older. than some of the rest of them. So as you see, Richard Regan Jr. coming into pit road right now, I think this was the last possible moment before it really would have come to hurt him big time that he could have come into the pits. He'll be able to push harder for longer in this short second half, though, as everyone else kind of follows in behind.
You want to guess who's staying out? I'll give you 3 guesses. The first 2 don't count.
Joey Tebbins!
Yes, in fact, he was leading for a brief moment.
Oh, goodness me. He had to make a move on Reese Bogue to get the lead. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, Reese was kind of drifting up the track, didn't realize the 06 was going to be there, and now Joey is indeed back up to the top of the charts. How long is he going to go? Only till now. He's going to pit in. Reese is going to follow.
And they're going to race each other into that pit entry line and both take wildly different entrances as Richard Regan Jr. comes out of the pits right now. So we'll see where he slots out. You see his competitors coming out in front of him, Mark Kalin as well. I mean, this was an interesting call from Richard Regan Jr. You see all the extremes. We got all the sides of the pit strategy when it comes to overcut, undercut, and your average halfway point stop from the championship for competitors. Which one will win out in the end? I think Evans did that, but he kind of, he was the slowest of the 4 in the first half of this race. Not by much, but definitely was the slowest. So all that led to him forcing him into a call like that to come down earlier. He comes down earlier. I don't think you go into this race wanting to come down that early. You kind of want to be in the spot where you're in, Richard Regan Jr.'s spot, right? Where you're coming down last, and yeah, you've got some positions to gain, but you've got the fastest car on track for a longer period of time, and you had the lead. So I think they've all strategy-wise, they all called the perfect races for what they've been given from the first half. This has been great.
So right now, your order sees Colton Lane in the lead, but he has not pitted. Evans will be your effective leader once Colton pits in that number 60. I imagine he's trying to just hold out as long as he can because, remember, he got sent to the back of the field after he had his issue early on. But this is the only call he has other than, like we said, maybe going early and maybe trying to undercut a bunch of people. But he didn't do that, so this is all he's got right now. Meanwhile, Jeff Evans, his lead over Acosta is about 2.3 seconds. It was, I believe, 3 seconds earlier, so I think that Abner is starting to pull him in.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely going to continue happening, and we're all saying this as provisionally, right? Colton Lane's still out on track, but I don't know why he'd stay out for as long as he is staying out right now. If at this point he's just trying to hope for a caution so he doesn't go to get lapped here.
So I'm looking as this is when everybody pitted. If you look at the tower on the left there is currently about 4 laps difference between Evans and Acosta.
6 between yeah. Wow.
But the times between them are very consistently 0.4 of a lap different with Acosta to the good. So it's not that different. I doubt that's just down to tire difference. Maybe that's just Acosta's speed, but that is impressive.
That is, that's unreal. Hey, if you want to be a champion, you got to be fast, and you could not pick some better drivers. I think Evans came into this one as Regan Jr. and Bradley Holly got very close to each other. I'd say coming into this one, Jeff Evans was maybe the underdog of the 4. But for him to make a strategy call to put himself in a position where now he just has to defend, which is a lot easier said than done, and I think he'll be swallowed up quite quickly here from Acosta and Regan Jr. and Bradley Holly when they do catch up. Zemke, I think, is going to lose some positions pretty easily right here. But when that happens, Evans has got to defend for his life. But unfortunately, because of his speed in the first half, maybe he came in a lap or two too early, but he had to do something, right? Didn't feel like he could beat them on pure speed alone.
Yeah, Zemke was one of the earlier pitters. 5 laps difference between himself and Regan Jr. And that is showing there as well. along with the fact that it didn't seem to be as quick as them in the early stint. He's also going to have to give it up to Bradley Hawley, who we can see in the background just picking up P4. And once again, our playoff 4 are in the top 4 in the race, and all is back to normal. There are still some good battles, though, happening farther down. We mentioned Zemke trying to hold on to his. He's got to try and keep James Morgan behind him. Thomas Sink is also on a charge. He's quickly approaching from 7th. So keep an eye on those drivers. Now, where did the ever creative Joey Tebbin wind up? Actually, I lost him here. Let me find him. He is 15th.
Oh, that's a net loss, Joey. Oh, Joey. It's a net loss. But he does have some speed in that machine. His last lap time was a 41.4. And that is definitely a lot faster than the cars in front. So
we might want to go to the lead. Acosta has already caught Evans. I said he was just grabbing him hand over fist on the timing sheet. Wow. Now he's here. It's one thing to catch, it's another to pass.
Yeah, and there was just a block there from Evans, came down low, and oh goodness, I don't know how. I mean, 6 laps is 12 miles, right? That is a fair amount of difference, but the amount of closing rate and speed that Acosta, Regan Jr., and Holly have kind of had on Jeff Evans makes this quite incredible. Evans tries to defend on the outside, but we'll see if he's able to stay on the outside. And no, he is not. Richard Regan Jr. there as well.
Ooh.
I think Evans is seeing his stars and counting them quickly.
The plot thickens. It's now a 3-way fight for the lead, and it was Regan who dashed up to the front before and ran away. But last time he also started ahead of Abner Acosta, or at least was ahead of him when he was trying to fight past a bunch of these guys. So now he's got to try and keep up and pass that number 5. He easily disposes of Jeff Evans. It was a valiant effort from the 51. It looks like it didn't quite work out in the end. 15 minutes left to go. Oh my goodness, and Richard looks fast. Look at how quick he's gaining on the 5.
My, oh my, he's going to pull to the inside and has some run moving into turn 3. That momentum is going to put him in front, but he hasn't been able to clear yet. He can slide up right now. Richard Regan Jr. Goodness me, that is assertive.
When it's a green flag run, it looks like it is hard to beat that 56. There's a reason why he is leading the points so handily at this stage of the season. 3 wins out of the 9 races he's already completed. 8 of them were a finish in the top 5. This man looks like he is going to be a tough one to overcome, not just for the seasonal championship, but let's not forget he's in that fight for the playoffs championship as well. And he just blitzed practically through those drivers like it was nothing, back to the top spot.
Yeah, that was not even a competition, was it? I mean, Bradley Holly has surprised me because he is really starting to fall off the pace. I mean, he's not matching Acosta or Regan Jr.'s times. I feel like in this order, well, I would put Regan Jr. and Acosta coming into this one even on the power rankings, but Holly right behind and Evans maybe a little bit behind as well as to 4th. But the top 2, it's exactly what I expected it to see. Expected it to be at this point in this race, as we've stayed green all night long, and I hope I don't curse it by saying that.
You've already said it. It's out there.
Shush. I have said it. It is out there. I don't want to do it again. Not again.
We got a nice side-by-side battle here between Sink and Punkari. This is for 6th position. That's Punkari on the bottom side in the orange and white, fighting hard to try and hold back the 48. But like we saw before, high side seems to be the place to be. He drifts up in front of him, has the clearance, but even still, the speed is with the 48. He's going to pull in behind him, give him a little bump draft to try and run down Adam Zemke. Now, Zemke, 5 lap older tires than Punkari, and even with only those 5 laps, it looks like that's a significant enough difference that they're just catching up to him quite quickly.
Oh, look at that big move in the back in the midfield. And we're watching Brett Pancari. It's not really midfield, right? It feels like it because these drivers have been around each other all night long. But this is a battle for the best of the rest right now. And Pancari's put himself into 5th place. It's the highest non-championship Ford competitor. And look at this great battling here. Zemke, Sink, Cervantes, they're all involved. A little bit farther back, you see that iRacing number 12 of James Morgan and Nick Silver fighting for a top 10 spot. Great racing here.
Sink's been around in the PRL for a long time here as he fights from the bottom with Zemke on his high side. We're going to go 3 wide maybe because here comes Cervantes inserting himself into it. He's going to poke his nose between. He gets at least one of them. Can he also pass Zemke here?
Oh, Lord. That was a good look right there at potential chaos and calamity, but with 12 minutes and change remaining, might as well go for all you can get right now.
Incredibly, and all of this, well, maybe not so incredibly, is it's been green the whole way, and that's Sink having to take avoiding actions
that would have been worse. That would have been worse than anything I could have said or done.
Yes, Thomas Sink Morgan brushes the wall behind him on top of things there. Now it's starting to come alive a little bit. I was about to say, we've only lost one car, and that's Nick Beyer, who has decided to end his race, I guess because he wasn't able to do much up there. As we take a look both at the battle for 3rd on your left-hand screen, because Evans has been caught by Hawley. In fact, I think he's been passed by Hawley since before we joined this. And then, of course, the battle for 5th is getting hot.
Yeah, it's certainly getting. Now we see these battles on your split screen, and great work from our producer Dane in this one. He's been doing an awesome job all night long, as there's some contact with the 48 of Sink and the 57 of Zemke, but we stay green and clean for the time being, and Silver is there as well. He's trying to find the platter that he was just handed.
Yeah, it is indeed a silver platter
Morgan
in front of him, and Morgan is going to cover him off. He was clear. He had the space, but Silver would probably like that clean air back. Down to the bottom, Zemke going nowhere. Doesn't look like he likes that low line as he loses the speed, and he's going to get freight trained.
These machines, these cars walking down the backstretch with feverish intent right now. This has been a fun ride, a fun race, and these drivers are determined to not let their seasons end without the highest possible finishing position that they can get. Jeff Evans and Bradley Hawley starting to fall back into these drivers' clutches as well. Not these specifically, but Pancari, Cervantes, and pretty much 5th and 6th right now. Evans and Hawley, they might not finish in the top 4.
Well, Hawley was pushing ahead of Evans, so I think he's got things under control a little better. Evans, though, with him being one of the earliest stoppers, he's been dropping quite handily. Brett Pancari gathering him up as Silver's going to now try and see if he can get by Thomas Sink after he's disposed of Morgan. But Morgan cuts back underneath him, looking for the switch back, and it's actually going to work quite well.
Oh, that did work out quite well for him. Silver has that momentum on the outside, but there is that bit of aero weirdness that he'll have to deal with. Now it kind of shifts down to Morgan. That car in front at Auto Club, it's a little bit flatter, obviously. So with the speed, the rate of speed they're going at, the cars in front, with how air dependent these cars are going to definitely affect car handling in the corners. Can get pretty aero tight at times. You expect these cars are built, and there's no better series that you can see it better with than in open wheel racing on an oval, especially. These cars are built to work with the air in front of them that is clean air. Once turbulent air is kind of shot into the picture, you've got to deal with that, right? And the car is not built to deal with all the turbulence in front of you. It makes the car handle worse. The aero grip is not as there. The mechanical grip can't affect the car as well as it once could. But on the straightaways, you want that whole in the air. You definitely want that draft. So it's a best of both worlds here. And these drivers are certainly dealing with that all race long at Auto Club.
I think Evans is going to be a sitting duck here. We've switched over to his fight. Pancari and Cervantes gathering up the bread to scatter in front of him. And they're going to make a nice, easy move here if their pace has anything to say about it. Doesn't go for it down into turn one. Interesting that Evans moved up to the high side a little bit. Both the 19 and the 25 trying to ride a little bit lower, but can't quite hold it off the turn. They get held back at least for one corner.
Yeah, just for one, but I feel like at this point, Evans, and I mean, I know Holly was pushing in front of Evans, but the difference is Pancari and Cervantes are pushing closer to Evans and Holly, right? So Holly is at danger of losing third. The podium fight is definitely on, and the 19's got a big run down this front stretch on Jeff Evans. This is the first time that we see an on-track pass of a Championship 4 competitor in this race. I think so.
Yeah, we did start with Acosta behind a couple of them. Very high there for the 51, but he keeps it out of the wall. 19 still can't overtake him. It's been a great defense from Evans. And Cervantes, I was making noises because he slid off of 4, and that's why he lost so much time. He's already gathered it right back up. And Evans is pulling out the kitchen sink to try and see if he can at least finish in the top 4, even if he can't take the playoffs.
Yeah, Cervantes and Evans and Pancari, they're all fighting really hard right now, these 3 drivers. And I feel like Evans, what a showing he's put on this year. And not only that, but middle of the season, or maybe it was middle of season 3, he went through a move coming down to, I believe it's Greenville, South Carolina. So he's had quite the upheaval of his life, and he's put in one of the best performances he's ever put in PRL Grand National Series competition.
Is that Greenville of Greenville Pickens?
It is certainly that.
Well, he is definitely in NASCAR country there then. They come off the corner. Cervantes getting close once again. And I tell you what, I think Evans was being brilliant. He was covering the high side, preventing Pancari from taking the way he wanted to go. But now it looks like the 19s managed to get him off of there, finally pried it loose. And that's going to be it. Yeah, 19 is gone in a flash. Just goes by like it was nothing.
Yeah, and I think, it's going to be interesting to see the speed that Pancari has with 8/10 in between he and Bradley Holly. If, there's anything able to be done about that P3. But what a race for Pancari so far. And you can see he's so far ahead, and he had to take the high line to get the momentum down the straightaway, and he's going to even fly closer ahead. Cervantes pulls to the outside. Evans will have to defend on the inside, forces him up as high as he can go. That was tight. That was real tight, but hey, it was clean and good racing. Evans will slide all the way up the track. Cervantes will stay on the bottom, and that'll help Evans a bit here down this backstraight.
Yeah, I think Cervantes needs to learn from Pancari what he did on Evans, to try and just maybe if you could get him off that high line on the way into the corner, maybe that'll finally do the trick for him. But he's still going to ride low, looking for that clear air that you talked about to help him out. He'll drift all the way up, and yeah, that car looks like it's unhappy being forced to the bottom. But you do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do to survive, right?
Absolutely. And well, he's only got to do it for 4 more minutes is the good news for Danny. And he's still looking at a 6th place, even if he can't pass Evans. But I think he wants that top 5 to pad his stats. This time, though, the 51 brushes the outside of 2. That's going to hurt his momentum. This is what Danny's been looking for.
Yeah, that momentum is has definitely taken a hit right there. But Danny Cervantes, who has been fast and been just as fast as Brett Pancari, has started to be held up. I feel like Evans is doing a great job right here. Cervantes still not able to get anything done. Evans blinks for a few moments, but the speed is definitely in favor of Brett Pancari to get a move done under 4 minutes remaining in this race, in this Grand National season of PRL competition. And Cervantes going to make a move on that third groove, that middle groove. He's going to get it done here.
This has got to be a tough one for Evans, gritting his teeth, no doubt, knowing that he briefly was up at the front after those pit stops, and he tried his best, but he was up against some stiff competition. And in the end, he's not only watching that lead slip away, but even simply a top 5 in this one out of his hands. It was worth a shot. It's still got a little bit of battling down behind them. This is Morgan trying to take 8th away from Silver. Silver looked quick earlier on. Does he still have this speed?
Yes, I think Silver's got that speed. Morgan has been fighting valiantly, but nothing going on there. You see a bunch of swapping of positions going on in the back underneath 15th, 16th. Jeff Evans in the 6th, and Doug Evans, his dad, in 15th right now. So those two always racing side by side in this series a lot of the time. It's fun to see father-son combos. Usually, in case of the Acostas, you see Jose and Abner, brothers, but it's rare to see, I guess, father and son in an iRacing league.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple times over in the Camel GT series. We see it often with the Haycoxes, but here we get a little bit of a battle between the 48, who is going to overtake Jeff Evans. Sink, once again, looking much, much quicker than Jeff, who is really hurting on those older tires. I wouldn't think that as few laps as they had different from everybody that it would be this drastic, that he would just fall off the cliff. And unfortunately for him, I fear that the pain is not over, because Nick Silver and James Morgan are coming up to him quite fast. Also, I know we haven't been showing Richard Regan Jr. much, but there's not been a whole lot of drama. It's been about 1.5 seconds apart between himself and Acosta, but it's now stretched to 2.5 seconds. And Abner probably has little hope unless the 56 makes an uncharacteristic mistake at this stage, especially considering we'll get the 2 to go signal here.
Yeah, this has been a wonderful race driven by Richard Regan Jr. Just unbelievable, right? He put himself in the best possible case where he didn't have to worry about, pitting earlier than anybody else. I feel like if you do an overcut, it's because you've raced such a good first part. That second part, you can get the benefits of it, right? You've went longer. Now it's time to build all that momentum back and gain all that speed back. What a race this has been. I mean, we talk about some of the controversies in the previous race in PRL competition on the oval side here, but it all completely melts away when you see just performance that everybody put on here at Auto Club in Fontana, California. 1 lap to go. Richard Regan Jr., it's his season. Will he finish it?
White flag is indeed out for the 56. There may have been a few question marks left over the finish for the truck race this evening, but Richard Regan Jr. is putting a stamp on this one, making sure there is no doubt whatsoever. He led for much of the first part. He stayed out a little bit longer, but he knew he was going to have these fresher tires. He hunted down the leaders, repassed them once again. And with 3 wins, soon becoming 4 out of a 10-race season, this is going to be one to remember, as Richard Regan Jr. is both your seasonal and 2023 champion in the PRL Grand National Series.
What a performance for Richard Regan Jr. I mean, this is just perfect for him. He's, the whole year, he's been the one to beat, and he was just perfect here tonight.
And that fight between Poncari and Holly came very close. We didn't get to show it as much because we were trying to show our champion, but the 19 definitely forced Holly to fight hard to finish on the podium, which he did, and Brett had to accept a 4th place. Congratulations from his rival go to Richard Regan Jr. on his cool down lap here as he gets ready to triple celebrate, win, and 2 championships in one go. He's certainly on his way to become one of the more memorable and impressive drivers. 3rd most in the win tally. Actually make that 2nd most overall, as he will pass Abner Acosta with this win on the tally of victories in every PRL championship ever.
Unreal. What this performance fit for a king, and Richard Regan Jr. certainly asserted himself as one of, if not the GOAT. I mean, Bradley Holly is right there, but Richard Regan Jr., he's making a case for himself.
He's got a long ways to catch up because Holly's at 118 wins, and this puts him at 69. So he'll have a nice hard time trying to catch up to Bradley Holly and see if he can overtake him on those wins. But for now, I think he's just going to savor the moment here as the 2023 champion. Has a few friends celebrating with him, of course, here at the end. So glad that we got to have a nice little story here to wrap it up with Richard Regan Jr. taking the victory at Auto Club. And I think we're going to be showing our championship, or at least our race results for this evening here with the 56 coming home with the hardware. The drivers continuing to definitely enjoy themselves here with 2023 now being over. Our winner, Richard Regan Jr., wins by about 3 seconds over Abner Acosta, who just could not keep up. Although it was an excellent effort, Abner still will finish second in the championship as he did on track. Holly was third today, fighting hard with Brett Punkari. Very tight battle all the way to the finish between them. Punkari was fourth and Cervantes fifth as Thomas Sink finished sixth. And it was Jeff Evans, our fourth driver in the playoff four, had to settle for seventh. He kind of went for a long shot strategy, pitting early. It got him the lead momentarily, but it didn't hold him the lead. It was Nick Silver eighth behind him, Reese Bogue ninth, and James Morgan in 10th here. Dylan?
Joey Tebbin in 11th. So as usual, it's a net balance for Tebbin where he comes out of his strategy and comes back on the track. He'll finish there. Adam Zemke will finish in behind. Ted Lowendick, Nick McLaughlin, Doug Evans, your top 15 with Patrick Cowgill, Nick Hunter, Jacob Emery. That was a good battle to the end there for 17th. Jim Westerfield and Matt Gagnon, your top 20. We continue rolling down the results after 70 laps here at Auto Club. Turner, Beijing Lane, your lead lap finishers. John Jones, Scruggs, Kalen, lap and 2 laps down with Nick Baer in last, 32 laps down.
And it looks like we've got our unofficial champion as well as race winner and playoff winner as well, Richard Regan Jr., ready to chat with us. Richard, congratulations. 4 wins out of 10 races, top 5s in 9 out of the 10. This was definitely one to really show that you are a worthy champion.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we had a really good year this year. 16 wins, 3 season championships, and now we got the yearly championship, which is my first. So definitely pumped about that. I put in probably almost 1,000 laps of practice this week. Definitely the most I've ever practiced. I got to give a huge shout out to Trent Dinkle and everybody at Regan Bogue Motorsports for helping out this week. Matt Long for sure too. He helped me a lot on long run. Reese Bogue, Danny, Nick, everybody, even on the truck side. It's just a fantastic way to finish out the year.
You went long there compared to your rivals on the pit stops. Did you feel confident that you would catch them back up? Was it stick to plan, you know it'll work sort of thing?
Yeah, so usually when we come here, the overcut is usually faster. And the car was great that second run. I don't know what changed, but it was just on rails, and I was able to run Abner down and then get by him and Jeff pretty easily because they were battling, and then I just pulled away and focused forward, and I was just hoping that we wouldn't get a caution ruin my race, but thankfully it stayed green and we brought home the win and the championship.
Well, where do you go from here on this situation? We were kind of talking about how that you now move yourself into second all-time of wins in the PRL. Do you have aspirations of trying to chase down Bradley?
Oh, for sure. If anyone's been following the PRL for years, me and Brad have had a rivalry for probably like 4 or 5 years now. So the goal is definitely to take that top spot someday, but it's definitely going to take a little bit. He's got quite a lead on me right now.
Yeah, I think you'd have to win basically every race of the year to even get close to even with him at this point. So it's going to be work, but you certainly are showing some amazing speed. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you. I'd like to give a shout out to Mission 22. Neonism Paints. You need a paint, go to facebook.com/neonism and tell them the PRL sent you. Multiple Sclerosis Society, Jay-Z Photography. Dedicate this win in this season to CM Pennington, who we unfortunately lost a couple days ago. Give a shout out to all of his friends and family, and we're all thinking about you guys. I'd like to give a shout out to everybody at Dirty South Racing and Regenbogen Motorsports, 3-time team champions now, and everybody at RaceSpot and PRL.
That was Richard Regan Jr. in the 56, who was your winner tonight, as well as your seasonal and year-long champion. Up next, the man he beat, Abner Acosta. We've got Dylan talking to him.
Yeah, with Abner Acosta right here. And Abner, it was a really solid run for you, but just unfortunately, Richard Regan Jr. had you beat by a couple seconds there. I know it did not necessarily go your way in the Cup Series playoff finale or the Season 4 finale, and then we come here and you're second again. Is there a little bit of frustration at all? I hate to bring it up, but question we got to ask, you know?
No, I mean, at least I got to race this one, you know. In the Cup Series, yeah, just because I didn't really, I did a couple laps and I had the internet issue, but no, I mean, it was a good season on both. I mean, I got second. Well, I didn't get second in Cup, I guess, but I had wins. I had good runs. Just had in regards to the regular season, I had a couple of bad races where I crashed out and it didn't work out. But I mean, I raced pretty good. Learned a lot with this car, so overall, it was positive.
Well, it felt like this race was a battle of who could save tires the best in the early going to set yourself up for that last run. Was the goal always to run a little bit, or the hope always to run a little bit past the halfway point? Or did you always know you wanted to come in right before it hit 25 minutes?
No, I honestly think I chose the wrong strategy there for sure. And I always do it. I feel like that's something I should start. My first thought in my head, I should just go with that, because my first thought was, I'm behind Richard. I suck at pit entry, so I wanted to kind of pit with him. I also couldn't catch him. I was by like 4/10 or half a second. And for some reason, I just decided, you know what, I'm going to pit early. And I for sure know I lost at least like a second or a second and a half to him on entry. And plus giving him a 2-tire advantage, that kind of killed it. So yeah, just wrong strategy. I should have pitted with him and used him as a marker for me for pit entry. But for some reason, I chose the other route. And, when I came out of the stop, I was only like 2 seconds ahead. And, I knew it was going to be a bad race from there.
Well, it was definitely a good showing from you tonight, Abner. And I feel like we ask you this all the time, but I'll give you another chance to shout out who you want to shout out. I know your private label team Hype teammates weren't necessarily in this race, but Precision Racing Esports is definitely there for you.
Yeah, shout out to PRL. Shout out to CM Pennington, rest in peace. Just a big... I don't know, just everybody that does this, one thing you can, everything can be perfect today and tomorrow everything can just, turn upside down. So just enjoy what you do and just, just do what you want to do. It's a big lesson. So, rest in peace for CM, ran his scheme the whole year. Condolences to his family and friends and everybody else. And yeah, thank you guys at RaceSpot for being with us and broadcasting races.
Always, Abner. Appreciate your time, buddy. Best of luck in this short off season.
All right. See you guys. Have a good night.
All right, Abner Acosta. Always fun to talk to and always has a positive outlook on things. But we'll go back to you, Joe, with is he still the GOAT? I'd say so. Bradley Holly finishing in third.
I mean, the stats say so. Still the driver by far with the most wins, but Brad, it looked like it was difficult to hold on there at the end. Barely squeaked into a podium this time. What were the emotions in the car watching those two run away?
Well, I kind of expected it. I did plenty of officials this week, and I knew I was a little off pace, but kind of hoping for a little bit of chaos today. But at the same time, I was hoping for a green flag run and hope to watch them battle out, maybe make some mistakes and give us a better shot.
This has definitely looked like their show this season. Haven't really challenged them as much at times, although they're on your good days, it looked like you could really give them a good thrashing. When you bounce back in 2024, is the focus to just try and bring the fight back to them once again?
Oh, absolutely. I'm trying to get as much practice as I can, but life gets in the way at times, and I have to take care of business and go do important things other than iRacing. So just try to do the best I can and have as much fun as possible.
I think that's the right attitude to take into this. Are we going to see in any of the road series though? In the meantime, you going to dip your toes over there soon?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm already signed back up for GTD. So I'm looking forward to doing Mondays again and making myself look like a fool at times. So we'll just have some fun in some road and get better at road, and maybe take the fight to those guys one day. Not likely, but one day.
I remember you in the MX-5s. I don't think you'll look anywhere near a fool, sir, but congratulations on a podium today.
Thank you very much.
That was Bradley Holly, maybe underselling himself just a little bit. But before we go, we do want to take one more look at what's in store for 2024 in the PRL. In case you missed it earlier, here's what's coming.
Minutes of racing, and all we know is to go 3 wide into the opening corner.
That was a very late dive. He managed to make it work. And he gets the green. We're underway. 3 races left.
Work, and the defending champion wins at Circuit Lebanon.
Cannot wait for that to start, because this wraps up the 2023 season, and we'll be back soon enough with 2024. And Dylan, with all that we've witnessed this season, with all that's close on the horizon, surely we have got some I'd say some unexpected joys coming our way in the PRL.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun as we head into a little bit of a revamped new 2024 season 1 that somehow starts in 2023, but we're going to ignore that, just like a video game or a car model that comes out this year, but it has the next year as the date. But I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. What a finale here at Auto Club. Oh, it just makes me miss this track even more that it's gone.
And a big thank you, of course, to the PRL for bringing us on for this season of coverage, as well as thank you to the team, both Dylan and Dane behind the scenes. However, until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.